On golf addicts, welcome to the Tour Junkie Golf Show on the Better Sports Network. I am riding solo for most of the show as Pat Perry is, real job duties call, and Pat can't make it today on this lovely Tuesday, the week of the Shriners Children's Hospital Open in Las Vegas, TPC Summerlin on the PGA Tour. Pretty good field, better than last week for sure. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that some at the near the end of the show, talk some bets, give my cash game lineup. But I'm also going to be joined later today on the show by my good friend, Kilkenny McAndress. You know him. You know who he is, right? You do. The Mooney gang czar himself, NFL football betting super mind, just absolute menace to sports books everywhere. He's been on the show before. Going to talk to him about the NFL. We're gonna see what happens. We're gonna see what comes out of that. But to start off the show, we're just gonna recap because the Sanderson Chicken Cock Championship Trophy Championship happened, and I'm donning my here we go. I'm donning my Champions Retreat gear because a Champions Retreat member, Luke List, took it down. The winner of the Chicken Cock Championship is Luke List. And, there was another guy from Champions Retreat rocking this hat, Henrik Norlander. 2 of the 5 people in the playoff members at my club, local Augusta boys. Happy to see those boys get it done. Happy to see Luke get it done. It was a wild back 9 on Sunday. I mean, the field was, like I said, it was kind of trash. But the entertainment value on the back 9 on Sunday was definitely there. Ben Griffin had a shot at it. And I really like Ben Griffin. If you don't like, and the PGA Tour, let me just say this, the PGA Tour loves them some wholesome boys, some wholesome fellas. They really do. I mean, they get one and they latch onto it like a newborn latching on for mama's milk, and Ben Griffin is going to be that. I'm just letting you know, like it's already starting to happen, but as soon as he wins his first one, watch out. Like the PGA Tour is going to parade him around everywhere. I mean, everywhere, like a trophy wife. They do the same thing with Max Homa. They did it with Max Homa. That's what they do because Ben's a really nice kid, good family, went to a good college, and he's got this story, right? He almost quit golf, and he was a mortgage finance person, and I think a DJ on the side, which always makes me think. Anytime I hear anyone say, I don't know if I'm gonna get in trouble for this. Anytime I hear anyone say, and he was kind of a DJ on the side, it always, in my brain, I flash back to one of my all-time favorite. Actually, it is my all-time favorite funny movie, The Other Guys, starring Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg. And one of the funniest roles, characters in that movie is Michael Keaton, who plays the police chief. And at one point, he says he's talking to the guys about pulling it together and stop being jackasses on the street. And he's like, guys, I'm working hard. I got this job. I got another job working at Bed Bath & Beyond just so I can put my son who's struggling with his sexuality through in NYU so he can be a DJ on the side, and I don't know. It just always makes me think about that. So I always think about that I thought about it with Ben Griffin when they talked about all his struggles and how, yes, when they talk about, how he almost quit golf and he was a mortgage officer to DJ. And I love Ben. Listen, we interviewed him on the show last year when he just coming out as a rookie. He was a fantastic interview, told some funny stories. It's a great interview. He's a great kid, and he's super talented. The guy has the course record. I think he broke his. Did he break his own? I think he might have. I think he broke his own course record at one of the courses at the RSM Classic down at Sea Island, St. Simons, Georgia. He broke his own record, shot a 58. And he holed out from the fairway. I think it's a par 70. He holed out from the fairway. His buddy was with him and videoed it because if he'd holed it out, he shot a 58 and broke his own record, and he did. It went viral like 2 summers ago. So the kid can go stupid low. He's got a lot of game. I think I said this last week on our show. Ben Griffin at one point was leading the Players Championship in March. It was like Saturday or Friday, but he was leading the players. Like, this kid is good. He's going to win on the PGA Tour. It's probably going to be an event like one in the fall or one of the weaker events next year. But he's good. But Sunday late, he struggled. I mean, I think he shot +2 or something on the day. The driver was everywhere. He's got kind of this move in the middle of his swing that kind of gives me a slight yip just sitting on the couch. Like if I was holding a drink and I saw it, I'd kind of do that and something would slosh. He just right at impact. It's something he does. I don't know what it is. I'm not a swing guru. If we had one on here, I'd ask. But it's something he does with his head or something that happens. And the driver was everywhere. And then Norlander looked like he was going to get it done. But then he hit a couple in the water like a ding dong. And all of a sudden, Luke List finds himself in a 5-man playoff. It was like a member guest out there, all hitting from the fairway on the first playoff hole, which shout out to them. They did it quickly. Luke is a fantastic dude. His wife, Chloe, Augusta girl, fantastic family, great people. Spent some time with Luke and Chloe before. Had Luke on the show a couple years ago. He's a great guy. Plays, like I said, plays out at Champions Retreat, my club. And I've seen him play golf out there, and it's unbelievable to watch. I mean, and I said this on our show last week. Now, did I have him on my betting card? No, because I want to punch myself in the face for that. He was literally the last guy. I'm not even kidding you. I said it on Wednesday night in our live Discord chat. I said, the last guy off the card that didn't make the card was Luke List. And it was more of a budgeting thing, not as much that I didn't want him on there. But I said on our show last week, I made a pitch to Pat that it could be a Luke List week and that he has been trending with the putter. Now, if you don't listen to us very much, you may have no idea. But Luke List, prior to 6 weeks ago, he was the worst putter in professional golf. Like, I'm not kidding. The worst putter in professional golf. And I'm including the Korn Ferry Tour. Like, he was awful. This is a little bit like the Lucas Glover situation. Now, as bad as he was a putter, I said this on the show. I said he is a top 10 ball striker. Long term, short term, I don't care how. He's one of the longest hitters on tour. His ball speed was higher than Ludwig's on the playoff hole on the drive on the tee shot on the playoff hole. And everybody wants to talk about how amazing Ludwig is. His ball speed was higher. He hits the ball as far as anyone on tour. He does not lack distance. And we all know that's a huge thing on the PGA Tour, which gives him short irons into literally every par 4. Short irons and wedges. And then allows him to hit irons on par 5s. He's just, ball striking is tremendous. Can't get the ball in the hole. Can't get it in the hole until about 6 weeks ago. Now, I've seen Luke personally with my eyeballs at Champions, working with putting gurus, working with putting tools. I've seen him on the greens for hours, grinding, trying to figure it out. I've even talked to one of his good friends, who was Henrik Norlander, who lost in the playoff. Henrik has even said, like, I've told him to try the long putter, the broomstick, and Luke's never done it. He's always stuck with this short putter, the standard putter. He's changed grips a couple times. He's changed coaches. And it's always been kind of a head scratcher to me. Like, what? Why would he not do the broomstick? With all the success a guy like Lucas Glover, a guy like Keegan Bradley's had with the broomstick, why wouldn't he do that? Well, he hasn't. But I told Pat on the show last week, it looks like Luke may have figured something out because the last few events, he's been gaining strokes putting. And I mean, if Luke was just neutral putting, his ball striking is so good, it would change his whole game. But now, if you want to add the fact that he's gaining strokes putting, I'm just saying it's October 10th. The tour needs to be on notice if Luke List, if this thing is long term, if the putter thing is long term, if it's an Emiliano Grillo, a Lucas Glover, a Keegan Bradley situation, all three of those guys, dreadful putters, figured something out. Most of them with the broomstick, but now they're doing it. And you know, Luke is a more talented ball striker than any of those guys. And I'm just telling you that if the putter stays like this and he's truly unlocked something for the long term, you need to pay attention because that boy is going to run rampant on certain golf courses. He's going to eat. I mean, he's a winner at Torrey Pines, for God's sakes. That's when he won his first tournament just 2 years ago. So, like, the guy can get it done. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy, nicer family. But gutted for Ben Griffin. You know, I think his time is going to come. But Luke, pay attention. Yeah. So, you know, he's bringing the Chicken Cock Trophy home. He's bringing it to Augusta. Maybe I'll get to lay hands on it. I don't know. It'd be kind of cool to bring it to Champions. Let us all take it for a spin. I don't know what we can do on it. You can't drink out of it. I didn't see any orifices on the chicken. That would suck. I could touch the tip. maybe of the chicken. The up one, I could touch the beak. Maybe I could eat something off some sort of a pasty thing off the chicken back. Something with the trophy. I don't know, but he's got the Torrey Pines trophy and the chicken cock trophy. Pretty cool for him. And but hey, he's back in action this week in Vegas. So we'll talk about Vegas a little bit more in detail in terms of gambling here later. Speaking of Vegas, though, guess who else is in the field in Vegas? Lexi Thompson. Yeah, and if you don't know, Lexi is not, it's not it's a she's a she. She's good. Now she is good. She's LPGA player. What did she do? She started playing golf. She qualified for the US Open, I think, at like 15. She feels like she should be 50 years old, but she's not. She's like younger than me. But she's kind of in this Michelle Wie vein where like she just got on tour. She was so good, so young that we feel like we've heard about her for forever, and she's actually just not that old. She's super tall, and Puma girl, Puma Cobra girl. So in a lot of commercials with like Ricky and Bryson back in the day. And so if you don't know about Lexi, that's who she is. And she, when she was a little bit younger, and she was notorious for hitting the ball a long way, whatever. She's been given a sponsors exemption. I think this is the second time. Tony, can you verify that? I think this is the second PGA Tour event she's played in. But she's been given a sponsors exemption. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure why. I don't know if she has ties to Shriners or to TPC Summerlin for some reason. Does she live in Vegas? I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Or is it merely because the tournament director figured out like this is, it's not a horrible field. I mean, the field could look like it did last week at the Sanderson, but it's definitely weaker than it has been as we continue to see in this fall with this fall transition year. And so maybe he's wanting to gas it up a little bit, give it some pub. That's kind of been the general consensus on the internet about Lexi's sponsors exemption here. In fact, even last week, Peter Malnati, who's like resident tour, just absolute, just milk toast tour guy. I mean, nice guy, super nice guy, like the nicest guy, too nice of a guy. But he was in front of a microphone at a press conference because he'd won at the Sanderson Farms years before, so he got a press conference. And Peter's not used to getting press conferences, so he actually kind of had a little gaffe and slipped up and said something to the effect of with Lexi. He was asked about Lexi being in the tournament this week, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't know that we need to resort to gimmicks." And then he caught himself quickly and was like, "I mean, I didn't mean to say gimmick. Like that's not, yeah, you did. I mean, it is a gimmick. Let's just all lay it out on the table. It's a gimmick." Okay, Tony confirmed it's her first PGA Tour start. It is a gimmick. Sixth woman to play in a PGA Tour event. Thank you. It's a gimmick, right? Like it's like, I mean, it's like putting Steph Curry, Tony Romo in a field. You're trying to get eyeballs, you're trying to get attention, you're trying to get pub, but you're pretty much, she's not going to do well. She's not going to do well. Last I looked, DraftKings had her at like 40-1 to finish in the top 20. I think it was. I think I looked at 9-1 to finish top 40, and she was like 2,500-1 to win. So I mean, that's not happening. And I don't know. I don't love it. I don't love it. Like there are, and I know you could say this about a lot of sponsors exemptions. So I see it both ways. If I'm a sponsor and I'm paying millions of dollars, I like the idea of, hey, you get 3 to 5 or however many exemptions. You get to give to whoever you want. But I do think there should be some. Can we just agree? Like there should be some level of some parameter here. Like if we're either giving it to a young guy who needs a break. Who we see those stories all the time. Last year it was Peter Kest in the summer. It's been Chris Goddard up before. It's been countless tour players over the years. You give a young guy out of college or in college or a Corn Ferry Tour grinder or something like that. You give it to one of those guys, or I would rather it go to them or someone who's on the cusp of making it an alternate or something. It just feels like you're taking up a legitimate spot, a legitimate guy who's playing for his job to create a sideshow on somebody who's likely not going to play the weekend. And, it is, I don't know. Tony, got a thought? Chime in here. What do you think?
What you brought up there, DB, I think is that seems to be a lot of the issue when a Steph Curry, a Tony Romo plays like a Corn Ferry Tour event is, well, they're taking away a spot from a guy who, has grinded, who is trying to earn it. So I think there is something with those sponsors exemptions where the way that they have them each tournament, it's not taking away from one of those guys. Um, at the same time, like Malnati said, like you were saying, I mean, it's a gimmick, and I don't think that there is anything wrong with saying that, with just putting
Yeah.
that out there. Aside from, the hardcore golf fans, aside from the hardcore golf gamblers, like not a whole lot of people are going to be tuning in to watch this. But if there's that extra little motivation of a Lexi Thompson, a woman playing on a PGA Tour event, a Steph Curry playing, something like that, I think it adds a little bit of intrigue where, hey, maybe you'll get a few more eyeballs on it, which I don't
Yeah.
think is a bad thing, especially in this. I kind of put it in our rundown here, of just this is the silly season. This is the time I feel like to try these things. We've got the PNC Championship. It used to be the father son, and now they've integrated daughters in it and grandsons and granddaughters and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. You've got the Tigers event. You've got all these different things, and this is the perfect time to try that, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I can see it. I can see both sides. If I'm the tournament director and I want eyeballs on the event, I get it. And I guess there is this off chance that, I mean, if Lexi made a cut, I don't know what her made cut odds are. I think made cut odds came out earlier today, but I didn't see her name listed, at least on one book. So maybe shop around and look and see what they are. But I will say, if I'm the tournament director, like if something like, it's unlikely, but if she made the cut, that would be huge. Like that you do have the potential of, if that happened, like it really does blow up the event, which is fantastic. I mean, it would be great publicity, not just for her, but also for the tournament. Um, I just think there's, I don't know. Like Lexi, I think Lexi's going to she's on the press schedule for, I think, tomorrow. So, you know, we'll hear from her. I can't imagine she probably loves looking at takes on the internet about it either. There's a lot of people who just, and that's stupid. I hate people that do that and just they get so personal, and they get mean and nasty, and the vitriol about having her on the golf course is just stupid. But I just feel like she's kind of set up to fail, honestly. Like, so bravo to her for stepping in there and doing it. But I mean, if she finishes DFL, she's going to get, I mean, people on the internet are going to lose their mind, which, I mean, I'm not saying she's paying any attention to them, but there's a lot of risk for her, I feel like. But if by some chance she makes the cut, Tony says DraftKings has her at plus 275 to make the cut. If by some chance she did, man, that would be pretty strong. That'd be strong, quite strong. She averages 270. I looked this up yesterday. On the LPGA Tour this year, she averages 270 yards off the tee. I went to the PGA Tour website. I looked at driving distance. I scrolled all the way to the bottom, and the guy in DFL at 186. I don't know why the tour stops there, but they stopped there. There was no other page. There was no 187. It was just 186. Was Brian Stewart at 272 yards. So she's gonna be the shortest hitter in the field. Now, TPC Summerlin's not a super long course. Plus it's played at elevation, so the ball travels far. It won't be, I think on average the last 5 years, the scorecard has it like 7,200 yards. It's never played that. It usually plays 71 plus you get the elevation bonus. So it's not like it's going to be, it's not like she's playing like a US Open course or anything, but um, it's going to test her. I do think it's going to test her. So I hope she plays well. I don't think she's had the best year on the LPGA Tour. I think she was in danger of losing her status, losing her card until a few weeks ago, and she had back-to-back top tens, which good for her. Like, pressure's on, you get it done, you keep your card, you do the damn thing. Like, that's great. But I don't have high expectations, and I hate the fact that she's probably setting herself up for failure here. Yeah, and the Solheim Cup situation, Tony reminds me, was also not good. Press conference, not good. All of that it's kind of no bueno. But I get that it is kind of the silly season. I see the silly season as what you said, Tony. The PNC, the Hero. I don't. Like I would rather these tournaments be legit tournaments, and I don't want to get silly with it. Like it's not. It's these tournaments mean a lot to the people playing in them and the caddies playing in them and all that. But I understand the tournament directors, and it is what it is. Before we get out of here on this first break, Tony reminds me it's Amazon Prime Day. It's either today or tomorrow. I don't remember. What's the weirdest golf training aid or item you've ever bought? I don't, so if you're gonna go buy a training aid, I don't think I've ever bought. Oh, so it's the 10th and 11th. Okay, so the 10th and 11th Amazon Prime days.
It's like how Black Friday is like 6 months
Mm.
now.
Okay. Tony, what's the weirdest one have you ever bought? Have you bought something weird or golf item weird?
See, I just suck at golf so much that I don't put time into my game. So I haven't bought anything like that. I had my sister-in-law and her husband buy me the putting on the toilet
Oh
game.
my God.
So that was very fun. Spent a lot of time with that. Didn't help my putting.
Really?
Yeah, the boys, the Paulsons from Inside the Ropes, they gave me the Orange Whip
Mm.
trainer, which it's not silly, or I have no knock against that at all. That actually is a super, super helpful training tool. Cause like I said, I just don't devote a lot of time to my game. So I'm not a show up 30 minutes, 45 minutes before, hit some balls before my round. So I'll give that a few swings, and that's an awesome one. But it is, a little funny looking
Yeah.
in the back, because I just keep it in my bag. So
Yeah.
what about you?
Yeah, I've never really been a training aid guy. I've had a couple, but they were always ones given to me. I've never gone and bought one. Although, I mean, Jack the Hammer Ham made a compelling argument back in the day for his driver that would go 400 yards. If you remember those old commercials, Jack the Hammer Ham?
I don't
Oh
know.
my gosh! Remember he was like Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite. In the infomercial, he's like, "I'm gonna hit it over a mountain," and he'd hit it and go, "Gah!" It was an old school. It's a classic, but I don't buy a lot of those training aid things. I've had the one that you put around your neck and it's got the ball you put in between your forearms. I think that's
Yeah.
probably a good one. I think I lost it or popped it. And I had the impact snap one time. I don't know where I
Yeah.
got it
Yep.
from, but I had the impact snap. The worst to me is like, and this is, we can talk about it. We can maybe do this show closer to Christmas, but and No Laying Up does a great job every year documenting this on Twitter. But like, if you're the golf guy in your family and your family just every year for Christmas buys you golf stuff because you're the golf guy, but they have no freaking clue, what
Yeah.
golf guys want, and you just get the worst, cheesiest, dumbest toilet golf off of Amazon gifts every year. I get
Yep.
that, and I feel like that's all bought on Amazon.
Yeah, I used to work for SiriusXM PGA Tour Radio, so my family and extended family, they just think, okay, well, Tony's the golf guy. My mother-in-law, she doesn't know how to use the internet, so she won't watch this show. But she gave me just a golf putter pen with the tiniest little golf ball, but it was separate from the pen, so that just immediately got lost. I'm pretty sure a kid swallowed it or something like that. It was just absolutely, as soon as I saw that, the fake smile comes on the face. I'm like, "Thank you, great." I'm just like, "Okay, this is immediately gonna be
Dude,
lost."
it's every year. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. I got the one I remember the most recently was emoji golf balls. Yeah, yellow golf balls with different emoji faces on them. Yeah, thanks. I'll use these.
Great.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, all right. We got to take a break. We come back. We're gonna bring in our boy Kenny McAndress, founder of the Mooning Gang, an NFL better extraordinaire. So stay right here on the Tour Junkie Golf Show on the Better Sports Network.
Can we also talk about how just John Carlson has fallen off the face of the earth here, and like nobody's batting an eye, but yet this is a player who can easily top 60 points when healthy. We understand the Capitals are a bad team, but he is on the power play with Alexander Ovechkin. And considering the injuries with Nick Backstrom in his hips and Evgeny Kuznetsov and whatever, like he's still good. And I think people forget that just because he was hurt for so long last year. But this is a player who can produce and just feed Ovi the puck in his office and collective. Again, he's not going to block a whole bunch of shots, and that's fine. And he's probably not going to shoot the puck a ton just because there's so many good shooters on it. You also add Max Pacioretty to that lineup, and you probably take off some shots. But the Capitals are not going to be a very good team. They're going to be playing a lot of catch-up hockey, and he's going to be on the ice. He's going to be there a lot. The only player who could take something away from him is Rasmus Sandin. Yes, Sandin. He's the only player I think who can really maybe dig in a little bit to his ice time or a little bit into his offensive production. But again, that's a slight risk. If I'm getting Karlsson outside of that top 10 of defensemen that we just named, I'm happy. I should have never mentioned it. Everybody can just not listen to what I just said. Just forget it, right? Men in Black.
We'll edit this out in post. We'll get rid of this.
Correct, and just leave it as a secret because that's where I would go.
This wasn't a Max Pacioretty injury where he's messed up his knees and all. Like he got hit in the face.
Yeah.
Right. That was the injury, and he came back and he still scored points. So, I mean, this is a good.
Washington's D-core as of right now, right? Nick Jensen, Trevor Riemsdyk, Martin Ferravari, Joel Edmondson, and Rasmus Sandin. So, like, there's not many people who are going to be digging into his ice time offensively, right? They got a lot of guys who are just going to, play defense, protect, and whatnot. So, Karlsson could be that guy who's just going to be out there a lot when they are trailing because they need a goal or something, and maybe he bumps to 24, 25 minutes a night. Nice sleep well.
Well, if you're not in any of our leagues, make sure you keep an eye on him. If you're in our league, stay away.
He's gone.
Keep in mind too that the Capitals have said that as long as Ovechkin is still playing, they are not gonna go into rebuild mode, which means they're gonna play these guys like Karlsson and Ovechkin, and they're playing them into the ground. It's all set up for him to get a ton of playing time anyway. And at least this year, especially because he missed half a season last year, if they're gonna run him out there in an Erik Karlsson San Jose fashion like last year, this is gonna be the year they do it.
Making you money in daily fantasy sports and golf betting. Tour Junkies on Better Sports Network.
All right, week 5 is in the books, and if you need any help with your fantasy team, then head on over to fantasyalarm.com. They've got all the tools you need to win your league with the All-Pro subscription. You can get one-on-one expert access in the Discord. You get League Sync, analyze matchups and trends in your leagues. You get a lineup generator integrated with FANjections, daily and weekly rankings, value vault and position coaches, waiver wire, ownership percentages, projections, stats, tools. Build better lineups guaranteed. Get access to everything Fantasy Alarm offers all year. All you got to do is go to fantasyalarm.com/win. All right. Welcome back to the Tour Junkie Golf Show. Sans Pat. And I got my boy, Kilkenny McAndress. You know him. He's been on a couple times. Creator of the Moonshot, head of the Mooney Gang at Kilkenny on Twitter, and the NFL sports betting god. Joining us from a car somewhere in Philly. How we doing, buddy?
What's up, baby? Actually, not in Philly today. We are down in sunny Avalon, New Jersey. We've migrated to South Jersey until we officially buy a house. I've talked to you a little about this. The market sucks. Don't buy a house if you're thinking of doing it, because I'm trying to do it right now, and I'm very unsuccessfully.
Yeah, I mean, we could make this a real estate show if you want to do it. I'm crazy right now.
Dude, you got a real estate guy, bring him on here, because your boy needs all the help he can get. We're like 0 for 4 trying to buy houses, and we've gotten our doors blown off. Like, we haven't even gotten like if you can meet us here, we can, like, it's been a very polite, we're not going with you.
Well, you're just, you're an NFL, long shot, bomb, moonshot to anytime TD and 2 TD game away from being able to, be the one bullying offers around.
Well, I'll tell you this, we'll get into some specifics, but I did have one 2 weeks back. I needed a guy to score a touchdown for about $700,000. It was a DK bonus bet. He didn't score, and then he scored the first touchdown the following week. We're talking about Jaleel McLaughlin on Denver. So that's just a microcosm of sort of how my first 5 weeks are gone. But the beauty is, it's an 18-week season. We got more data to work with, and your boy's fired up, man.
Yeah, talk about the first 5 weeks. I mean, I've been keeping tabs casually as best I can. Obviously, golf's still going on, but never stops. But I've been trying to, tail some Mooney Gang bets on occasion. I know your boy B Matt's been killing it in there. But just like NFL as a whole, like, what do you think?
It's been a fun first 5 weeks for sure. I think the one thing that stands out to me, like, just if you look at it like a 100,000-foot view is parity. I don't think there's ever been this much parity across the NFL, and that's just a good thing. It just speaks to overall like the health of the league. And I feel like you're seeing this like in other leagues as well. Like last year during like the NBA season, that was sort of my biggest takeaway was how few awful teams there were and how many just objectively decent or better teams there are. That was the NBA last year, and I feel like that's the NFL right now. I mean, you've got a couple of teams at the bottom that are just embarrassments. You have a few at the top that are the clear front runners, and then you've got like 20 to 25 teams that are just okay, for lack of better words. Now, I don't think an okay team has any shot of winning a Super Bowl. I still think that the teams that like theoretically could win a Super Bowl is a pretty small list. I think through 5 weeks, I can comfortably narrow it to 6, maybe 5. Like right now, as I look at it, in the NFC, I think it's very clear. It's the Eagles, it's the Niners, and it's the Lions. And then in the AFC, it's the Bills, it's the Dolphins, and it's the Chiefs. And the only one of those 6 that I would say after week 5, I'm a little more worried about, it would be the Bills just because of the recent injuries that they've had. They lost Matt Milano in the London game. He's out for the year. They lost Tre'Davious White, their the number 1 corner, and maybe one of the top 3 corners in the NFL. They lost him 2 weeks prior. Like, those are pretty tough defensive injuries to overcome. I just think that there's too much talent elsewhere. So if I had to narrow it to 5, I'd cross the Bills off. But those are the 5 teams right now that I think are in contention to win a Super Bowl this year. And all I can do is smile is my Eagles, who admittedly haven't looked perfect. I mean, it hasn't been the cleanest start to the season, but 5-0 is 5-0, and only 2 teams in the league can boast that right now. So I think my Birds are in a good spot, but I got to tip the cap. I mean, San Francisco looks as legit as can be. You know, they got a chip on their shoulder. I mean, we blew their doors off in the playoffs last year, but I'll be the first to say it wasn't exactly the most fair game. Brock Purdy tore his UCL in the first quarter, and from that they couldn't throw the ball. So you know that they're chomping at the bit for some revenge here. But I feel pretty good of where the Eagles look 5 weeks in.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, I think if anything, the Chiefs reminded us of this last year. It's like the season is kind of a story, and the story grows and changes. And you know, the Chiefs lost to freaking Matt Ryan and the Colts last year, right? And then they looked unbeatable towards you know, at the end as they were making the run. So it can happen. I think teams, you know, can obviously improve greatly as the season goes on. I was going to ask you about the Niners because, I mean, they obviously showed the world that the Cowgirls were fraudulent, which I love to see. I know you love to see it too as a Philly boy. But I was interested to hear that you threw the Lions in there. Like, do you think the Lions can truly hang with? Because like I would have said, okay, I think it's the Niners and the Eagles, and that's pretty much it. Like I think the Lions are good. I think they're going to make the playoffs, but there's no chance the Lions are beating either the Eagles or the Niners in my eyes to make it to a Super Bowl. Do you really believe they could do that?
So look, I don't want to say no chance. I would say I think there's a distinct gap between Niners, Eagles, like a half step down, and then you get to the Lions. Like I think that they're not quite there yet, but they're the clear number 3 in the NFC. And then I don't think there's anyone even what the next team after them would be. I guess the Cowboys, even though I'm not going to put them there.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I like what they're doing. I mean, you saw it last year. They got off to a terrible start. They lost a bunch of close games to start the year, and it was kind of awkward. They had all the buzz coming out of Hard Knocks. Dan Campbell is like the most likable guy in the entire world, and I feel like a lot of fans were just like they wanted to see Detroit win, and you didn't. It looked like it was going to be a pretty ugly story. They rebounded the second half of the year, came in with a lot of hype this year, and it's just they're doing it on both sides of the ball. I mean, last year, even when they looked at their best, they could give you 35 in any given game, but their defense was non-existent. Their defense is absolutely legitimate this year. Now, I don't think they're anywhere at the the pedigree of a team like the Niners, but they're doing it on both sides of the ball. They're doing it in a lot of different ways, and I just think like as the team gets healthier, they're going to get Jahmyr Gibbs back. They're going to get Jameson Williams a little more in tune with with the rest of the chemistry that this offense has. We'll see what the deal with St. Brown is, but like there's just nothing stopping this team right now, and their division is awful. They're going to get a bunch of free wins the rest of the year against the Bears and Bears and Packers. So they're going to moonwalk into the playoffs. They're going to have a lot of confidence, and it's not a team that I want to doubt. Now, if it's Detroit versus the Eagles in Philly, I mean, I still think Philly comfortably wins by a touchdown, but this team is not a pushover. And look, 5 weeks in, they're 4-1. They've looked good doing it. I think it would be disingenuous to write them off.
Yeah. Is there anything? And I mean, I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this up front, but like, and you can say no, not to this point, but like through 5 weeks of betting the NFL, and as much as you handicap it, and all the information that you gather, take in, and disseminate in the best NFL gambling Discord around, the Mooney Gang. Is there anything like that stands out to you that you've either learned or that you've seen books doing, or you've seen lines do, or anything like that from a betting the NFL standpoint that's been an observation you've made in these first 5 weeks?
The first few weeks, it felt like touchdown prices were stingy. The beauty of the first few weeks is a lot of uncertainty across the board. I think for both sides, for the bettors and for the books. Now I like to believe the books think that they know more than the bettors do. But coming in week one, like you don't know who the true number 2 or number 3 receiver is on certain teams. And I feel like when there's uncertainty attached to certain games or certain players, there's got to be some upside on their touchdown price to at least feel like you're getting a deal for maybe taking a swing in an uncertain spot. And I feel like the first couple of weeks we weren't really getting that. I think they came out like, I think the books know, like, player props get more and more popular every year. Yeah. And like there isn't a market for like under touchdowns. No one's betting someone to not score. And they know that people are going out there chasing touchdown prices. And I think that they've realized, we could probably make these a little tighter, and people are still going to play them. So I think for objectively like great players where there's like a higher expectation that they're going to score, I think that their prices have just gotten really, really cut than what you've seen in the past. Now, I think for some of the more longer guys, the value is still out there, but through 5 weeks, there haven't been a lot of like really, really out of this world, like 2 TD scores. And again, that was my bread and butter last year, was trying to find these diamonds in the rough. And right now, it's not that like a lot of these guys are doing it and I'm not hitting them. It's just that hasn't been sort of the meta to start the year. Like I wrote this whole blog on my Discord last year about meta. Now, the term meta is usually in like video games. Like you're playing Call of Duty. What's the meta? It means what's the best gun at that particular time, at whatever. Yeah. And I feel like last year the meta in NFL was the 2 touchdown bomb. Now, I'm not completely abandoning my bread and butter and my overall strategy, but I'm willing to admit, at least through 5 weeks, that hasn't been the case, and there's got to be other ways to go about it. And I think, some of the larger tickets that I've seen hit at this point in the season, it's been a lot of like weirder, like same game parlay builds. I've seen a lot of people use like reverse correlation, a guy to have like under receptions but over yards, like like a bomber catches 150-yard pass and doesn't catch anything else. I've seen a few of those like weird tickets hit, but again, it's through 5 weeks. I'm not trying to tear down the strategy, but again, you gotta adapt or die. And right now, the 2 touchdown bombs just haven't been as prevalent as they were last year. So I'm looking for new stuff really, really each week. The one market that I've been really messing with is on DraftKings. For most games, they'll offer like the first player to get 20 receiving yards or the first player to get 20 rushing yards.
I saw that in your Discord the other day.
And if there's like a particular receiver, like a number 3 guy that you think is just in line for more work, it's a good matchup. Maybe he's the slot guy. The other team has had a lot of trouble or whatever. If you don't think you're getting as much value on his touchdown price, this race to 20 receiving yards market on DraftKings, it's a lot of fun. It's kind of like a first TD scorer on steroids, because the odds for some of these guys are pretty astronomical. And, you have your answer within the first 2 minutes of the game if it's going to hit or not. So I think those have been pretty fun. But for the most part, man, I'm trying to just immerse myself in the weekly data every Monday, see like, what should I have done the previous Sunday? What needs to change? And right now I feel like we're doing all the right things, and just, we got to get one of our guys to find the end zone twice. I've had too many guys get one and then get hurt.
Yeah. You talked about the player props. Actually, this guy the other night had freaking Jordan Addison on sleeper not to get a touchdown, under a half a touchdown. Of course, he got one, but you can kind of tap into that market on some of those sites like Sleeper and Prize Picks or whatever. You can hammer the under on those. I'm kind of an under guy. I like the unders. I'm kind of sick like that. But can you give me a Thursday night? Any thoughts on the Thursday night matchup? Possibly a bomb, and possibly a, if I want to juice up Tom Kim to defend his title at the Shriners this week at 11-1, what's kind of a lock for Thursday that I can go ahead and juice him up a little bit?
I hope we're not going to do it. Look, there's been one time I think in both of our betting careers ever where we have ever bet the chalk in a golf tournament, and it was Tom Kim. We bet Tom Kim outright in either the Sony or like one of the first tournaments last year, and at like 7-1. I think he missed the cut.
He missed the cut. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he missed the cut. So I hope you're not going back to him this week. But we'll talk about the Shriners. For Thursday, you got Chiefs Broncos. The Broncos are the dumpster fire of the NFL, but they're far and away the most embarrassing franchise on earth. Sean Payton looks like a full-blown asshole that everyone thought that he was, and it's been like therapeutic to watch. I've never liked the guy. Russell Wilson looks like a shell of himself. He got the bag. He got married. He lost virginity, and then he doesn't want to play football anymore. So the Chiefs should win by like 5,000.
If you had Sierra at home, would you be interested in studying football either? I don't know that I would. I think I'd probably.
Yes, because look, Russell, you've accomplished a lot, but like Sierra wants to be married. She married a winner, and she wants to stay married to a winner. Yeah. You can't. This isn't a temporary thing. You got to stay winning, and at least put up some semblance of a fight. In the last 2 years, man, it's been tough to watch, man. Broncos country, let's ride. There's one guy in the Broncos that I pretty much bet every week. He's a rookie. His name's Marvin Mims. He's the pure definition of boom or bust. All he does is run go routes. Like I think on the year he has like 5 receptions for like 290 yards. Like he's their only deep ball threat that they have. And he's looked pretty damn good. And he's the only guy on this offense, other than their other rookie, Jaleel McLaughlin, that has shown any sign of life. His snap count goes up and up each week. So on DraftKings right now, I haven't seen a whole lot of props for this game just yet. I'm not seeing touchdown props yet. But on DraftKings, they're hanging his receiving yards at 17.5. I'm going to play that. And then I'm definitely going to play, I think they're hanging alt receiving yards 60+ at like plus 950. He could get that on the opening drive on one catch. So he's a guy, he will go 0 catches for 0 yards, or he'll give you 2 for 110 and maybe a touchdown. So I'm going to continue to just buy the upside on Marvin Mims. He's going to get it done for me eventually. And he's hit his yardage prop, I think, like 4 to 5 weeks while playing like 8% of the snaps. So he played 33% last week. And again, with how bad they've looked, with how much scrutiny they've gotten in the public, if you're a Broncos fan, your season's already over. You're going to want to see your young, exciting guys at least get chances here. So Mims is going to get more and more looks the rest of the way. Keep him on your radar. I'm going to keep betting him until his odds get killed.
He sounds like the A chain of the wide receiver world. It's like
he honestly is, man. It's a good comparison. The only difference is they actually give A chain the ball.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's probably a lot harder for Russell Wilson to get a guy the ball than it is for Tua.
It certainly is.
Turn around and hand it to A chain. What else is going on, man? You want to talk Shriners? You don't even get a chance to dig into golf at all, do you?
I haven't. So no one was talking to you. And look, we talked, I think, about a month ago, just sort of like what our plans were going to be for the fall, like when you start ramping up your golf stuff. And like, I know across the industry, these aren't everyone's favorite tournaments, but like, there's money to be made in this fall swing. I believe that. And like, look at last week, man. Champions Retreat's finest, Luke List bringing it home. That was awesome. So
also Hendrik Norlander, Champions Retreat, 2 out of the 40 playoff. 40% of the playoff Champions Retreat, guys.
So I love these tournaments. Again, for guys like us that are typically chasing the dragon and looking for moonshots, these are the tournaments where like you can actually find them here. And when the field is this bad, I'm very excited. So I did do just the tiniest bit of recon for this event, but I want to hand it off to you first here. But I'm excited. I need to hear you say it, man. Please tell me you're not going to bet Tom Kim. I thought we learned our lesson here.
Listen, Tom is enticing to me. If I were going to bet a favorite here, Ludwig's up there with him, Aberg, but I just, and the guy found his way into the playoff despite the travel back from Rome. I know he's amazing, but at some point, right, the kid's got to give out a little bit. Like
he's gonna have to get tired at some point. There's just no way.
Plus, he's 22. He's going to Vegas. Like what? Come on. And he's like 6'5", handsome as hell, chiseled jaw, looks like a Greek god. They're going to mistake him for a statue in Caesar's palace. Like there's going to be women all over him. Tom Kim won't have that problem. Great kid, he won't have that problem. Okay, so I want to give you a guy that I think you know this guy. I've had him on the show. Super nice dude, chill dude, great in person. His caddy, good friend of mine. His caddy was an incredible story just a few months ago. Monday qualified into an event. Talking about Alex Goggart, his brother Austin Goggart's another caddy. I'm talking about Eric Van Rooyen, the South African.
EVR, all right.
What I like is looking at some of these guys who, there's a break in the action and then they come out and something's different. right? Like, for example, Luke List's putter, right? Something happened. He made some sort of trip to a holy place and got it blessed by something. I don't know what happened, but over the break, Luke List, happy learned how to putt. And Eric Van Rooyen completely
He had to have called Glover, right? I'm imagining imagine every bad putter is hounding Lucas Glover like, listen, man, just what's your secret here? You've been the worst putter on earth for 7 years, and you won a lot of money this year with that putter. Like, what have you done? Because if he can do it, anybody can do it.
Well, I mean, before him, it was Keegan Bradley is in the same boat. Like, Keegan Bradley was also a horrible putter and won with the broomstick finally. And Luke I said this at the top of the show. Like, Luke is always been pretty adamant against the broomstick. He wants to putt with a regular putter, which I thought was just going to be the death of him, but apparently he's found something, I think. But anyway, Eric Van Rooyen's ball striking completely left him towards last year. I mean, it was just miscut after miscut after miscut. Horrible year. It takes the break after the Wyndham and starts to show something at a DP World Tour event. I don't remember which one, but played well. And then his first 2 events of the fall swing, the Fortinet and the Sanderson, he finishes 30th at the Fortinet, 16th at the Sanderson. Both of those events, he gains 5.2 strokes on approach each, and gaining strokes off the tee. I mean, ball striking off the tee and approach combo at the Sanderson, it was almost 7 full shots last week, and then at the Fortinet, he was over 9 full shots ball striking. So he comes to the Shriners, which is an event he's only played once, never really played well, but the ball striking is there, and I see his. I like the top 20 number. He is plus 360. Top 20, and he's 100 to 1. I think actually what is he on FanDuel? Sorry, yeah, plus 360 top 20, 110 to 1 on FanDuel to win. I mean, he's a PGA Tour winner. He's a DP World Tour winner. I think he could get it done. That's kind of a Mooney Gang moon bomb, junk bomb for you.
And he's a friend of the pod. That's important. You gotta have the vibes, gotta have the chemistry there. The little that I looked, the few names that I just jotted down to kind of throw at you here. What do you do with a guy like Ben Griffin who had it and then kind of imploded? Do you go back to him? Is he fired up, or is he in his head and is he depressed? Because Ben Griffin at 55, I thought looked pretty decent.
Yeah, it was really tough. I've been talking about him a good bit at the top of the show too. I think at that number, that's enticing. That's long enough. I'm interested. I don't know that I would run to bet it any shorter, and I probably prefer dabbling in like a top 10 or even a top 5 market, which I normally never touch, a top 5, or that's almost like an each way bet that we don't have. But I mean, the ball striking's there. He's going to leave Bermuda grass, which he normally has an advantage on. If you look at all the tournaments he's really played well, it's usually done on Bermuda. He's going to come to bent grass here this week. Last year he played here. He finished 60th, lost strokes putting. But managed to keep it together. I do think last week's going to take some kind of toll on him, but he seems like a pretty balanced kid. I mean, I think he could bounce back. I don't love it any shorter than what it is right now.
And then I got 3 that I'm going to just rapid fire. The one that's going to be he's going to be the mid-tier chalk of the week. I'm fairly certain, but Neesmith. I mean, it's like they're calling it the home course. I mean, the guy is just absolutely lit it up here. The last 4 times he's played it, he's in as good as Neesmith form is going to be. They're hanging 75 on FanDuel for him. Same idea, like top 10, top 20, but I don't know how you stay away from Neesmith with just the course history and current form and how bad this field is. It kind of feels like a now or never.
Yeah, Pat is huge on Neesmith. He was big on him last week. He does have an amazing record here. He just seems to show up and play great. I mean, if I look at last year, he did come into the event. So he almost won this event last year. He came into the event in slightly better form, not crazy, but a little bit better. In 2021, he came into it in very similar form to now, like kind of crappy. And then he just showed up and did something. Like there's something about the place. So I don't mind it. 75 is nice. And
then the one long bomb, Max McGreevy at. No, I'm just joking. We're not going.
Stop. You're so addicted to Max. Hey, before I let you out of here, Pat would be mad at me if I didn't say go Braves to you.
That's messed up, man. It's been like 12 hours. You're really gonna do that to me already? That's messed up.
Are you gonna go to a game?
We're gonna go Thursday. Yeah. Gotta go Thursday. One more name, Carl Juan. Carl Juan at 220 to 1. I think Carl Juan is very intriguing. Played great last week. Again, West Coast kid. I think he played in. I think obviously rookie on the tour last year. I think played here last year. I couldn't tell you what he did, but not much of a bomber. You don't need to be here. And I'm just going West Coast angle. Young kid with a little bit of momentum. And at 220, he's down in the range of like people that are like borderline professional athletes. I think Carl Juan's a lot of fun.
Yeah, he is a lot of fun. By the way, he is a bomber. By the way,
is he really?
Very far. Yeah. He gained strokes ball striking here last year, missed the cut. He was pretty bad around the greens, and that's kind of his thing. But he is definitely a boomer bust guy. Like he's a top 20 or he's out. So I mean, I think he's going to be confident after last week. He gained seven strokes ball striking, gained almost 9 tee to green, gained a couple on the putting surfaces. I think he's live too. I think these guys that have good finishes in the fall, like Carl, like Ben, I think we're going to see these guys ride the momentum. I mean, the fields aren't anything, and it's only building confidence for these guys who need a little bit of confidence, right? That's why they're playing in the fall, because they need points. They need to play well. So I like it.
And one super bomb to make you throw up. Top 40, Brant Snedeker.
Oh God, no. What is wrong with you, Kenny? God, Kenny, you're such a
Take a look at Sned. I'm just saying, take a look at Sned. Sned's going to make the cut. He's going to hang around. Sned will be a top 20 this week.
I would almost rather give Lexi Thompson a try.
I would give Lexi Thompson a try.
Listen, you need to follow him on Twitter if you're not at Kill Kenny, Kiil Kenny. He's the founder of the Moonshot and the Mooney Gang, the best NFL betting Discord around. They get hot in the NBA season too. So, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you hopping on, taking some time in the car. Love you. Have a good day.
Always a pleasure, man. Love you, man. Be good.
All right. Welcome back. Final quick few minutes of the Shriner Show here on the Tour Junkies Golf Show on the Better Sports Network. Shout out to my boy Kenny McAndress. Love talking the NFL with that guy. He brings the energy always, and that the dude is addicted to bombs. I mean, he loves a bomb, and I love bombs too. So let's just try to hit one. Let's try to get one for the NFL and golf community this week. But it won't be Lexi. We're not gonna do that. Let's before we get out of here, I got to make sure I do my DraftKings 50-50 double up cash lineup, which last week me and Pat built one, and it did not work out. It was not good. It sucked, frankly. Maybe Pat's holding me down. Maybe that's what's happening. He could be holding me down a little bit, but it wasn't good. I mean, I will say in last week's field, just a cash lineup, you want to build it with 3 to 4 guys who you just know are going to play the weekend. And I know it's golf. So David, you don't know that anybody could miss the cut on any given week. Me and Kenny just talked about how Tom Kim was like 7 to 1 and we hit it and then he missed the cut. But when the field looks like it looked last week, it just makes it so difficult to play because every lineup you build, no matter how conservative or balanced or whatever you try to make it, it looks like some wild GPP tournament play because the guys are terrible and there's so much variance. I do think this week we have a little more, it's a little deeper. It's probably the best field we're going to get in the fall. We might get some good players for the Zozo. That one could be okay. But for the most part, this field's probably as good as it's going to get. So it feels a little safer, a little more 50-50 double up-esque, more cash game-esque. So I'll tell you where I'm going to start. I'm going to go right back to a guy who I don't know if we had him in the lineup last. No, I don't think we did. Eric Cole, 9,800 is where we start. I mean, the guy's just a cut-making freak. And, the average green and regulations green and regulation percentage here at the Shriners the last 5 years has been like 75%. I mean, 13 or more greens and reg has been the average every single year. And Eric Cole is one of the best iron players, consistent iron players in this field. If he can just hit a couple more fairways, I think he can really take advantage of that. We could see him possibly win this week, but I'd be shocked if he's trunk slamming on Friday afternoon. So we're going to go Eric Cole at 9,800. Then we're going to take a little bit of a dip, and we're going to go down to Alex Smalley at 8,500. I was all over Alex last week. I had him winning, and he didn't really threaten winning, but he did his thing. He did what Alex Smalley does. He's an incredible iron player, a lot like Eric Cole. It was his first event back after the layoff, after the break. So, he finishes 16th in his first event, which is pretty good. I like to see that from Alex Smalley. Let me look at what he did here last year. Last year's first time playing here, finished 47th. So we're going to go Alex Smalley. From there, we're going to go to Bo Hostler, $8,100 Bo Hostler. Another guy I had on the betting card last week that just disappointed, but he did okay. He made the cut. He finished, he finished 28th, not bad. Typical Bo Hostler, gain strokes off the tee. Kind of lost it a little bit with the irons. He didn't putt as well as he normally does, but Bo Hostler loves the Shriners. He's played here 5 times. He's never missed the cut. He's got a couple decent finishes here. He's playing well. So I think Bo, is going to play quite well this week. So he's at 81. Then we're going to dip down to Mark Hubbard right below him at 8K. Hubbard was so close to actually winning last week, and it would have been the most out of nowhere backdoor win you've ever, not even backdoor, like what side door, or maybe an underground tornado shelter door. Like it would have been crazy because he was so far ahead of the leaders in the last couple rounds, and he got it up there close, and then he bogeyed the last 2 holes really dumbly, if that's a word. I don't think it is, but it was very dumb the way he did it, and then missed the playoff by 1. But had he not just bogeyed the last 2 holes, which weren't that difficult, he'd have won by a shot and probably would have been in the car on the way back to the, on the way to the airport. But Hubbard's going to be comfy out here. He's more comfortable out towards the West Coast in these West Coast style events. I know this isn't on the coast, David. This is in Las Vegas. I know. But west of the Mason-Dixon line or whatever it is. No, Mason-Dixon line is this way. West of the Mississippi. Is that where you go? West Mississippi. I think that's it. So Mark Hubbard, AK. And then Justin Suh, 7,900. If you listen to the Tour Junkies podcast, you heard us talk about Justin Suh. He's a Vegas guy, Vegas resident, practices out of here, loves this golf tournament, loves this golf course. It's Justin Suh. And then we're going to go to Ben Griffin, who we've talked enough about with Ben Griffin. He's at 7,500. That's the 50-50 double up lineup for the Shriners. And that's all the time we have. So thanks for hanging out with me. No Pat. We'll have Pat back next week. Another event next week on the PGA Tour. Hope you guys have a wonderful week. Stay right here on the Better Sports Network. See ya.